chicken, your eggs, your tofu, your beans. So why are you losing strength? The truth is not only about how much protein. The truth is about how your body is using that protein. Greetings and welcome to the channel where mature adults, especially baby boomers, learn to be better prepared for the unexpected and to live healthier, happier, stronger, and perhaps even longer. I'm Dr. Nalani Valentine, your holistic health educator and certified health and wellness coach. Everything I share here is educational only. If you'd like to talk privately, you can always reach out for consultation. Today, you'll get to see one of the most important topics for healthy aging made simple and practical. Protein. Protein isn't just fuel. It's the raw material your body uses to build and repair almost everything. Your muscles, bones, hormones. Did you know that? Protein, yes. Hormones, enzymes, and brain chemicals that help you think and sleep. Now, I didn't know that before, truly, years ago. I thought protein was good for your muscles, right? It's good for all of those things. And it keeps your brain clear, your bones steady, your muscles strong, and your defenses ready. Here's the catch. As we move through our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond, a lot of us quietly eat less protein than we need. Some of you are more plant-based, and some enjoy fish, chicken, or beef. All of that can work. This is a non-judgmental space. We're not making a religion out of food. What matters is knowing what protein does, why your needs rise with age, and how to get enough in a way that fits in your life. You'll get to see what protein really is in plain English, how it supports your brain, your bones, and your muscles, how digestion changes with age, and how to work with it. Now, we've covered quite a bit about digestion and as the years go by. However, this is particularly important when we're dealing with protein. Why movement and protein are partners, with simple ways to start in our Move Well playlist as well. Why muscles, about 75% water, makes hydration a part of the protein story, and how to make protein. Did you hear what I said? 75% water. You thought muscles were more protein than anything else, correct? Well, we'll learn how to make protein work, whether you're a vegetarian or not, and straight talk on fish and meat quality. Plus, how to buy from farmers, co-ops, CSAs, and markets. Do you know what a CSA is? Keep watching, you'll find out. Part 1, what is protein? The simple version, protein is made from amino acids. Think of amino acids like alphabet letters. Your body uses these letters to spell thousands of different proteins for different jobs. There are 20 amino acids your body uses. 9 are essential, meaning you have to eat them. Your body doesn't make it without them. 11 your body can make, if it has the right materials. When you eat protein, beans, tofu, eggs, fish, chicken, yogurt, your body breaks it down into amino acids. Then it rebuilds those amino acids into what you need right now. Muscle fibers, enzymes that run digestion and metabolism, neurotransmitters for mood, memory, and focus, antibodies for immune, so-called. And let me make this clear, because you might be wondering, why do I always say defense instead of immune? This is my own personal quirk. Forgive me for that. However, as a holistic practitioner, I don't believe we're immune to anything. Ask me how I know, right? However, tomato, tomato in some minds. Defense system is what I prefer. Collagen for bones, joints, skin, and blood vessels. Did you know that? Protein isn't optional. And as the years go by, our bodies don't use it quite as efficiently. So we usually need a bit more per meal to get the same results that we got when we were younger. Part 2, we will look at protein in the brain. Your brain needs amino acids to make neurotransmitters. Serotonin for mood and sleep comes from tryptophan. Dopamine for motivation and focus comes from tyrosine. Acetylcholine for memory and learning relies on choline, which travels with the protein-rich foods. If you shortchange protein, your brain may not make enough of these messengers. And that can look like foggier thinking, low mood, slower recall, trouble focusing, and you thought it's just because you didn't get enough sleep last night. Protein also helps with repair. Over time, normal wear and tear adds up. Amino acids help your brain maintain the myelin coating. It's called the myelin sheath. And it covers your nerves and it builds new connections. This is what the research suggests. Nutrients, and this is the magazine Nutrients in May of 2016. Higher protein intake linked with better memory, attention, and processing speed in adults over 60. From the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in August of 2013. Lower protein intake associated with greater brain volume loss over time. That's kind of scary. The bottom line is steady protein helps your brain stay clear and resilient. Clear and resilient. Part 3, protein and bone health. Bones are not just calcium. Under the minerals sits a strong protein framework called, you guessed it, collagen. Minerals harden that framework, but without enough protein, the net weakens and the bones get brittle. Studies keep pointing the same way. From the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research, back in February of 2009, that is, higher protein intake associated with higher spine and hip mineral density in postmenopausal women. And then there's the Osteoporosis International magazine, published in March of 2011. Low protein intake is linked with nearly 50% higher hip fracture risk in older adults. Protein also builds the muscles that keep you steady. Better balance and strength mean fewer falls, and fewer falls mean fewer fractures. So protein helps your bones two ways: directly through the collagen and indirectly by strengthening the muscles that protect those bones. Part 4, protein and muscle health plus the 75% water factor. Here's a good one to remember. Muscles are roughly 75% water. The rest is mostly protein, and there's some glycogen, which is your stored carbohydrates, and trace minerals. So protein and hydration work together. If you're low on fluids, muscles won't perform well, even if your protein is solid. We'll dig into hydration, timing, and electrolytes in our Drink Well series. For now, let's talk about anabolic resistance. As the years go by, the same amount of protein doesn't trigger muscle building as strongly as it used to. You can still build and maintain muscle. You just need a slightly bigger nudge at meals, along with the workouts that we'll talk about in the Move Well series. So what does that look like? About 4 ounces of chicken or fish, 2 eggs plus a cup of Greek yogurt. Maybe it's tofu and edamame stir fry with quinoa. Or about 1.5 cups of cooked lentils with seeds or grains that round out the amino acids. If you miss that per meal dose often, muscle breakdown can outpace the repair. Now remember, I don't know if you know or remember from before, we talked about anabolism and catabolism, the building up and the breaking down. And the body is constantly doing all kinds of things like that. So if we're not getting enough protein, the breaking down happens a lot more than the building up. If you miss that per meal dose often, that muscle breakdown can outpace the repair. And we call that, when it's really serious, sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle and strength. Journal of the American Medical Directors Association back in September 2014 says that sarcopenia is linked with about 50% higher risk of death over 10 years. The good news is that you can prevent, slow, and even partly reverse sarcopenia with enough protein and regular resistance exercise. Part 5, the Move Well connection. Protein is the raw material. Movement is the signal. Without the signal, your body has no reason to use the amino acids to build muscle. With the signal, especially resistance training, your body chooses to repair and grow. You don't need a fancy setup. Chair, sit to stand. Remember those? And then there's the wall for push-ups and even the counter for push-ups. Eventually, down on your knees and push-ups until you're stronger and you do full push-ups. Step-ups, using the bands, and calf raises, they all get the job done. And we are going to really go deeply into those in our Move Well playlist. 2 to 3 sessions per week can make a huge difference. Then there's the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging article in June of 2015. Higher protein plus resistance training increased muscle mass by about 2 pounds and leg strength by about 30% in 12 weeks. If you want a guided path, the Move Well playlist will be ready for you soon. Short sessions, clear cues, doable process, and progress. Vegetarians and non-vegetarians both can work. Let's stay judgment-free. I know vegetarians who are not very healthy, and I also know meat eaters who are quite healthy. My grandmother lived a healthy, active life through her 103rd year, and she wasn't a vegetarian. Here's what really matters: quality, variety, and consistency. Smart choices are sardines, anchovies, herring, Atlantic or chub mackerel, and wild salmon. Now, big predators like swordfish, shark, king mackerel, and some tunas can run higher in mercury. So if you like tuna, skipjack is usually a safer bet than albacore, and keep your portions really modest, smaller. So let's talk a little bit about farmed fish. Some farms do it right with clean water, solid feed, and low crowding. The others, crowded pens, dirty water, routine antibiotics, and all kinds of stuff that you really don't want me to describe for you. And that's why, I just encourage people, if you're going to eat fish, any kind of fish, I would go for the wild caught fish. Now, if you do buy farmed, ask how it was raised. Is it land-based recircling aquaculture? Is it low stocking density? What's in the feed? Are antibiotics routine? If nobody can answer those questions, skip it. Most farmed salmon, it's naturally grayish. Producers add astaxanthin, which is often synthetic, sometimes it's algae-based though, to feed and make it pink. It's legal and it's common. So if you want naturally pink flesh, choose wild salmon or ask if the farm uses algae-derived astaxanthin and low-density practices. A lot to think about, right? That's why some people just avoid it altogether. Now, protein from meat. Conventional systems often push rapid weight gain with limited space and routine antibiotics, and that can really affect the animal health and the meat's quality. Better raised options are, of course, pasture-raised and grass-fed and finished, usually having a healthier fat profile and fewer drug residues. Goodness gracious. Little known facts about that perfect red color. Bright red doesn't always mean fresh. Some packages use a gas blend of carbon monoxide in modified atmosphere packaging to lock in that red look. Whole cuts aren't typically dyed, but color can be managed to look fresher than it is. With processed meats, added color is more common. So what do you look for? Natural color variation and good marbling beat neon red every time. Now, what are the best steps you can take? The best thing you can do is buy direct when you can. Farmers markets. You can talk to the people who raised the animal or caught the fish. Ask everything and anything you can. You'll often get better quality and seasonal pricing too. CSAs, remember we mentioned that earlier? That means community-supported agriculture. You'll prepay for a share of a farm's harvest and get weekly or bi-weekly boxes. Some CSAs include eggs, dairy, and meat add-ons, and it's a simple way to get fresher and to get support for the farmers as well. Then there's the co-op. We used to have so much from the co-op. Lately, I'm able to get to a farmer's market though, so that's great. But if you're not there, how about forming a co-op or finding the nearest co-op? These are member-owned grocery stores or buying clubs, and you usually pay a small membership fee and then get access to local seasonal foods and often better sourced meat and fish. Co-ops tend to vet their suppliers more carefully and will tell you the story behind the food. They're great. And then there are trusted local butchers and fishmongers. Look for shops that know their producers and that they can answer the basic questions. How was this animal raised? How was it fed? Any routine antibiotics? For fish, where and how was it caught or was it farmed? If a seller can't answer simple sourcing questions, that's your sign to just keep it moving. Plant protein. How to hit your targets more. Plant-based and still want strong protein? That's easy. Legumes, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, white beans, edamame. Soy foods, if you can handle soy. Tofu, tempeh, unsweetened soy milk. Dairy, if you use it. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and kefir. Grains and seeds. Quinoa, farro, oats, buckwheat, hemp hearts, chia, pumpkin seeds. Oh, do I love pumpkin seeds. I eat them just about every day. And you get a lot of zinc, which is good for healing. Nuts and seed butters. Peanut butter, almond, tahini, and sunflower butter. Then you can pair things across your day, as I mentioned before, to get that complete protein profile. Beans and rice, lentils and quinoa, hummus and whole grain pita, tofu bowls and seeds or nuts. Is your appetite low? How about smoothies with Greek yogurt or soy milk plus hemp hearts or peanut butter? There are so many combinations. Protein-rich soups like lentils, split pea, and bean chili. And then there's tofu or egg scrambles with veggies and a side of beans. Keep it simple. Aim for about 25 to 30 grams of protein at each main meal. So what does that look like? 4 ounces of fish or chicken, 2 eggs plus a cup of Greek yogurt. Vegetarians, how about a generous tofu and edamame bowl over quinoa? Or 1.5 cups of cooked lentils, sprinkle seeds on top, like I love to do with my pumpkin seeds. Sprinkle them on top of just about anything, soups, salads, or even those cooked lentils. And you can spread your protein across your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That steady rhythm helps your muscles, bones, and brain get more than just at one giant serving. Digestion and absorption after 50. So we know that changes with age as well. Stomach acid and enzymes can dip a bit, which makes protein a little harder to break down. How do we fix that? Simply chew well and slow down. Do you remember in the other video, take human bites? And by the way, how many of you took me up on that challenge to see how many times you can chew? Actually, that wasn't the challenge. The challenge was to see if you can not put any more food in your mouth until you have completely emptied your mouth. Empty that forkful before another one. And the other, it was a 2-part challenge. The other one was to chew until it became almost liquid. I wonder how you did with that. Yes, that's going to help make that protein breakdown a little bit easier for you. Add a splash of lemon juice or vinegar to your meals, the ones that have beans and greens. That's going to help you digest that protein as well. And then try fermented foods and fermented soy like tempeh for easier digestion. Spread that protein across 3 to 4 eating times instead of loading it all at dinner. Now, do beans make you have a lot of gas? If you put, well, I'm sure you already know this one, you put a little bit of baking soda in there while you're cooking. And I've found too that if you use a pressure cooker, not the old-fashioned ones. I used to be afraid of pressure cookers because I've heard stories of chitlins on the ceiling after the explosion and all that kind of stuff. Pressure cookers today are real easy to use. And I've learned that when you use a pressure cooker with beans, you have less of the lectins as well as the gas. And that helps too. So you might want to look into a pressure cooker. They're not very expensive either. Another thing you can do to avoid the gas is to start small. Make sure you rinse your canned beans if you use canned, and make sure that the dried beans, I like to soak them first overnight. And when you use a pressure cooker, you don't have to soak them that long. And then add herbs like cumin. I love the way cumin tastes. And I put that in almost every meal as well. And the fennel or ginger or a combination of all those three. Part 11. Hydration. So here's a quick tease for the Drink Well series. Remember, mussels are roughly 75% water. So even mild dehydration can drop your strength and slow your recovery. We'll go deep on the fluids and the electrolytes and timing and all of that in our Drink Well series. But for now, have 1 or 2 glasses of water when you wake up. Sip water throughout the day and front load that. Let's get more of that earlier in the day and in the early evening and taper it off so that you're not drinking an hour before going to bed. And that'll help you to sleep better and not have to get up so many times a night. Part 12. Here are some practical meal ideas. More plant-based and some other non-vegetarian options as well. Breakfast, Greek yogurt, parfait with berries and chia and walnuts. How about tofu scramble with spinach and peppers plus black beans? And then you can have a couple of eggs with cottage cheese and sliced tomatoes. And then if you eat, now some of us eat once a day, so mix and match. For those of us who eat 3 meals a day, then this would be good for you as well. So at lunchtime, lentils and the quinoa bowl with roasted veggies and tahini. How about wild salmon or tuna salad on a whole grain toast with arugula? And or tempeh stir fry with brown rice and edamame. And for dinner, how about that wild salmon and garlicky greens with quinoa? Grass-fed, grass-finished beef, chili with beans and avocado. Tofu and chickpea curry over buckwheat. Any of these combinations, just throwing out some ideas. And then if you snack, how about edamame with sea salt and hummus? You know what? Some people say, or always use hummus with crackers. I love to just have string beans and dip them in hummus, or carrots dipped in hummus. And then, of course, there's always a smoothie with spinach. And then cook in ways that your body can appreciate it. Marinate it. Stew. Slow cook it. Chew well and take your time. So here's the quick recap for everything that we talked about. Protein supports your brain, your bones, and your muscles. Your needs rise with age because your body doesn't respond as strongly to the small doses that it used to. Muscles are about 75% water. Protein and hydration work together. Movement is the signal that tells your body to use the protein that you're eating. Here's an article from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in March of 2022. That date was when I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia and not expected to survive by doctors. March of 2022. Wow, I'll never forget that date. Apologies, I digress. But this is the article. Not all dietary proteins are created equal. However, higher intake of plant protein in older adults has been linked to reduced muscle loss and lower risk of hip fracture, cognitive decline, and frailty. In the same studies, animal protein intake only showed a beneficial association with hip fracture in males and cognitive decline, and it was even associated with a higher risk of frailty. What does that mean for you? It doesn't say never eat animal protein. It does suggest, though, that on average, older adults who eat more plant protein tend to do better on several aging markers. So even if you enjoy meat or fish, keep more plant-based foods, legumes, and colorful produce front and center. Clear and calm takeaway on food choices. You can be healthy as a vegetarian. You can be healthy as a meat eater. Here's the common ground that works for most people. Choose quality and variety. Load your plate with fruits and vegetables, no matter what you choose. Whether you're vegetarian or a meat eater, load your plate. Get more and more fruits and vegetables. We always say flood your body with fruits and vegetables. And I suggest you eat that first before you dig into the meat. More plant-based eating brings more vitamins, minerals, and fiber. You don't have to be vegetarian to benefit, but just know this: meat and fish have no fiber. And when we talked about the gut, you've learned how important it is for us to have fiber. So that's why we get to flood our bodies with fruits, vegetables, and more plants in general. For meat and fish, it's important to know where it came from. Whenever possible, buy directly from the farmers, the CSAs, and the co-ops, as we mentioned before. Okay, family, thanks for being with me today. I trust that this talk about protein helps you to realize how important it is for us in this stage of our lives and how we can get more of it in. See you next time. Remember, we're not helpless victims. Our health is in our hands. Peace.